Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibuyers? Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It is Friday, October 11th. Hope you guys have something fun planned for the weekend. Just a reminder, jury selection in the Sarah Boone trial begins Monday. There's no live streaming of jury selection, but as soon as openings begin, I'll be live streaming all day, every day from start to finish. And then in the evening, recapping the day's testimony in an hour or less for those of you who don't want to watch or can't. So be sure to tune in. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. I have a goal almost 5 years into this podcast to hit 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. If I don't meet that goal, it's all good because I'm just blown away. I have nearly 68,000 subscribers. Also, don't forget to like the video. That's what pushes it out to other people who may be interested in my content. That helps the channel grow more than anything you could do other than word of mouth. Appreciate all y'all. I love what I get to do every day. And if I had 5 people listening to me, I'd still do it. So we're going to jump into Diddy's status conference yesterday. Now, people who were in the courtroom said that Diddy looks like he's dropped a few pounds since he was arrested. A source has told TMZ he's been dropping the weight since before he was arrested, and also said the food is gross, but he's eating while he's behind bars, contrary to what other people are saying. Now, we know Diddy lost his key to New York City shortly after his arrest, and he's about to lose the key to Miami. He got that in 2015. They're planning to take that back, but this week, of course, they've had way more important things to deal with. Hurricane Milton. If you were in the path of the storm, please let me know how you are. It was a nasty one, especially with all those tornadoes. And I just want to make sure all my alibis are good. Now, we know Diddy is appealing that last bond denial, and the judge yesterday pointed out there was no application for bond for him to look at. So Diddy remains incarcerated. The appeal, by the way, was filed on Tuesday. And I looked over that appeal and picked out some interesting things that they brought up. It was long. It was over 30 pages. We're not going to go that deep into it. But in that filing, they say that Diddy is not the flight risk the government says he is. They named several high-profile people who were held without bond, including Epstein, of examples of inmates whose bond denial was justified. They also point out that Diddy would agree to his previous offer of that $50 million bond. He would submit to weekly drug tests, no women at his home other than family. He would sell his private jet and would not attempt to contact any witnesses that the grand jury has sent subpoenas to. His attorneys say in the filing the sensationalism surrounding this case have distorted the bail analysis. They say the judge's concerns of Diddy obstructing justice as well as intimidating witnesses is based on speculation, resting mainly on untested allegations about communications with witnesses in civil cases, as well as communications initiated by supposed witnesses and not Diddy. His attorney says the district court endorsed the government's exaggerated rhetoric and ordered Diddy detained. In doing so, the court committed legal error, rejected a sufficient bail package, and violated its obligations under the Bail Reform Act. They mentioned that Diddy traveled to New York because he knew he was going to be indicted. And in doing that, he showed that he intended to face those charges and not flee. They go on to say that Diddy's known since early 2024 he was under serious federal investigation, but proactively asked his attorneys to reach out to prosecutors. He took steps to voluntarily surrender and try to satisfy any possible government concerns about him being a flight risk. His attorney says when they told Diddy that his arrest was imminent, he traveled to New York in the hopes of turning himself in, but instead, he was arrested on September 16th. His attorney also says the government never responded to him reaching out to introduce himself and provide information about the case prior to Diddy's arrest. On April 1st, his attorneys took possession of his passport and told the government it would not be returned to Diddy and he wouldn't leave the country. They also point out that his mother and 4 daughters also gave their passports to him as well. They mentioned that he put his airplane up for sale and notified the government accordingly. He also notified the government 9 times about travel plans within the US and paid off the outstanding $18 million on his $48 million home on August 20th of this year just to provide for any future bail package. The filing mentions that the courts have reversed similar defective detention orders. The filing also says that Mr. Combs believes the evidence will show that, to the extent such activities occurred, aka the freak offs, all individuals who participated were adults voluntarily engaged in consensual sex. This is going to be a big point for the government, by the way. They have lots of video, apparently. And if people who are participating in this are visually too intoxicated, they can't consent. So that's going to be something that is going to be argued heavily at his trial. Well, what happened yesterday? Diddy was wearing jail pants and a t shirt. He did smile and wave to his family who were there. His mother and all of his children, except for the smallest, I believe, were in attendance. At the end of the hearing, he hugged his lawyers. He was not shackled, by the way. The attorney told the judge that Diddy's family had traveled there from Florida to attend. The judge asked about the speedy trial clock, and Diddy's attorney said they did not waive that with the previous judge. At this point, the judge gave them an April or May choice as far as options for the trial. His attorney said that they would be ready to go May 5th of 2025. I'm not sure that this trial is actually going to happen on May 5th, and we'll get to why in just a second. But the government says that their case in chief will take about 3 weeks. Diddy's attorney also putting on a case that they anticipate will last about a week. The government says there may be superseding indictments as their investigation is still active. I think for this reason alone, that may be why this doesn't actually go to trial on May 5th of next year. Essentially, the indictment that got him arrested was enough to get him in custody and hold him without bond. They are very actively investigating this case, as we know, people coming forward, providing evidence, providing statements. We are nowhere near finished with the charges against Diddy, I don't think. Diddy's attorney said the government is leaking things from the grand jury and statements that could be prejudicial. The defense has also accused the Department of Homeland Security of leaking that 2016 video, which shows Diddy savagely beating Cassie in a hotel. They named the Department of Homeland Security, saying the agents were quoted in the press about the raids on Diddy's homes as well as the investigation in general. They did not suspect it was Cassie who leaked those videos because her lawsuit against Diddy did not mention her having possession of the tape. By the way, on Monday, I plan to split into 2 episodes reading that entire lawsuit by Cassie against Diddy. A lot of information in there, and I'm not going to get into really graphic stuff, but it is very eye opening to say the least, and it's terrible. We saw on video just a little tiny snippet of what took place in that relationship. But Diddy's attorney says that that very video was leaked to CNN, and his team was contacted by the network saying that they planned to release the video that same day. Now, his attorneys reached out to the prosecution and said, quote, "My concern is that someone, not any of you and not the lead case agents, provided this footage to CNN. I bring this to your attention solely because I imagine you didn't want this to happen any more than I do," end quote. They're probably going to ask to suppress that video and anything else that's been leaked, meaning it would not come in at trial because it's been seen by the public and potential jurors could have seen it. I expect that argument at some point. TMZ, who is the source for celebrity news, reported that a male sex worker spoke to the feds a couple of weeks ago, telling about an alleged encounter with Diddy in May of 2023 that involved himself, Diddy, and a woman. The man allegedly said he was flown from Atlanta to Miami for the freak off and is reported to have given a sex tape to the feds. The male also gave a proffer, meaning the victim can tell what they know without worry of prosecution. So technically, if this is a sex worker and they took money and traveled across state lines, that's all a crime. They could charge this person, but what they know is way more valuable than the charges they could ever charge this person with. We're going to see a lot of people cooperating with the feds in this case, I think. If they get offered deals where they could be charged, they'll start singing like canaries and we'll turn on Diddy. I don't think there's anybody out there willing to risk their freedom at this point to protect Diddy with the odds that are stacked against him right now, not to mention what's going to be coming later. The man was said to tell authorities what kind of drugs Diddy preferred as well. And Diddy's attorney said in this new TMZ documentary, The Downfall of Diddy, the indictment, you can watch that free on Tubi, by the way, that the freak offs were threesomes that were consensual. TMZ also reported that a grand jury has been hearing testimony from sex workers. The outlet reported the grand jury is hearing about travel with one sex worker to see if the victim was transported across state lines or out of the country. They're also looking into any payments made to the witness via wire transfer or cash. As far as discovery, the government says they can have everything handed over by the end of the year to Diddy's attorneys. There were a lot of devices that were seized in these search warrants, almost 100. At this time, those are being extracted by a forensics lab. They expect to take about a month to get all the data off those phones. Where were these found? They got 36 from the airport. In the LA search warrant, there were 51 devices taken. They also have the phone he had on his person at the time of the arrest. They did say some of the items were damaged, and extracting these devices takes time in general. Once they get that extraction, it's not in a readable format. They have to go through and manually look at text messages, emails, anything that's relevant to this case. Very time consuming. The government has already given the defense 1 terabyte of discovery. The government has a subpoena to Diddy's Combs Digital Company. They have a team who's looking through those returns just to be sure privileged information is not being given to the case team. The defense has until February 17th to file motions. Next hearing for Diddy is set for December 18th at 2 p.m. And with the current charges, Diddy facing 15 to life, just with what he's been indicted with as of today. After the hearing, his attorney answered the question of what's the worst part of being in jail for Diddy. He said, I think the food's probably the roughest part of it. Now, Tony Busby, the Texas based attorney who's representing many clients in these civil lawsuits against Diddy, told TMZ that big celebrities will be sued for helping to cover up sex assaults unless they settle out of court. Demand letters have already been sent out informing them of the lawsuit and say, unless they want to settle out of court, we're going to sue you publicly. He says some celebrities have already chosen to settle. The first of the lawsuits he will reveal will not involve anyone famous, but they will include corporate entities who are alleged to have helped Diddy cover up his crimes. That's the latest in Diddy world. There's more. There's always more. Sources say this, sources say that, but unless a major news outlet reports it, I'm not putting it out there. But again, Monday, hoping 2 episodes breaking down that lawsuit filed by Cassie, Sarah Boone. Jury selection not supposed to take too long. I think we could have openings by Tuesday. Busy week coming up, but that's how I like it. I'm going to be working this weekend on some new t-shirts. I've got a new program with Adobe that I'm using that makes some really cool graphics. So I'll let you know, but everything right now is on sale with code Sherlock10 at checkout. You get 10% off everything. So go check it out. Links in the description for everything. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend, and we will see you soon.